extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Hello, could you introduce yourself, your name, your age?
Do you want people to be talking to you or to the camera? I'm assuming to you.
To me. All right.
Am I like facing you?
Or like, be like, hi, I'm Janessa.
This tissue.
Oh, here, I can take that. So what's your name and what's your age? Where are you from?
So I'm Ian Matthews. I'm 22 years old from Texas.
So I'm Kobe Van Slegren. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Washington State, the United States.
My name is Karen. I'm 35 and I'm from Ireland. Amore. I'm 30.
Where are you from?
South Africa.
So my name is Jonathan Yan. I'm doing good.
Okay, so like what made you decide to come to Korea out of all the other countries?
I saw that it was the easiest to come to Korea compared to a few other countries. Additionally, there's this concept of the I think it's called the 4 Asian tigers or something. There's 4 countries basically that are very industrialized and very friendly towards Western peoples, especially for somebody from the States. Those being Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and I want to say Singapore. I might be wrong. But out of those 4, the one that was the most enticing for me was Korea, partially because it's easier to teach at a private academy here than in Japan.
How come? How so?
It seems from my very little research about Japan's academy program, there's a lot less openings, it seems like, and they're also just not as talked about. Whereas for Korea, it's really easy to find a lot of listings or to go through recruiters. They are asking for a lot more teachers here, it feels like.
Did you research into any recruiters here before coming here?
I did a little bit of researching. The moniker of the recruiter that we went through is actually really fortuitous for them, because if you literally just search teaching English in Korea, it's the first one that pops up because that's their name, which is really funny. Obviously, there's a plethora of different recruiters in Korea. I didn't do that as much research as I should have, but I've had a good experience so far.
Cool. So why did you decide to come to Korea to teach?
So I was a teacher back home. And in South Africa, teaching it's good, but it's really stressful. You have about 45 kids per class. You're teaching 9 different subjects.
Oh, wow.
The curriculum is packed with like too much things, and there's not enough time, and it was really stressful. So I was teaching for about 1.5 years, and I was like, no way, not doing this. And kids have a much better attitude towards learning, and they actually want to be at school, so it's much better for me. Yeah.
What made you decide, do you have a bachelor's in education?
So I actually have a bachelor's degree in physics, and my last semester of college I realized physics wasn't really for me, but I still kind of wanted to do some teaching. I had a friend who she taught at a Hagwon and gave me the idea, and I was like, why not give it a go? And here I am. Yeah, no, I did a lot of research, and I knew I liked working with kids, which I've noticed in my time here so far. That's the more important part of the job. If you don't enjoy working with the kids, then it's just too much work. But yeah, it's been so much fun though. Back in high school and a little bit in college, I'd started learning some Korean. I don't really know any. I totally forgot, but I had a basic foundation. And like I said, I had a friend who did that. I know Korea kind of paid a bit more, and you were the main teacher, not like an assistant teacher like Japan.
How did you get over here?
Put me in touch with a bunch of Facebook groups where there's just so many applications all the time, and I found TEIK through that, and then they gave me the interview. It was actually my first interview I had, and I had a list of things I was looking for in the school, and it looked perfect, and I did research on the city I was going to, and I loved it, so I signed.
So it was my last year of college or university, however you want to put it, and I didn't know what I wanted to do afterwards, and so I applied on his website, and I was like, it'll be a fun thing to do, give myself a year to figure out what I want to do. So that's basically.
How was the process coming over here?
I just literally typed in how to teach English in Korea, and his website popped up, and I clicked, and he was super, I watched all of the videos. He was super helpful, and then I think I had a couple interviews with a couple different schools. In my 3rd interview, the director who hired me was like, yeah, we'll take you immediately.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. What made you come to South Korea?
Well, it's always been a place that I've been interested
interested in teaching in because I've been teaching for about 10 years. Teaching in Egypt for 4 years. I taught in China for 3. I taught in Ireland adults for 4 years in Northern Ireland.
Wow, that's crazy. So how does South Korea compare to China and Egypt?
Well, it's very, very easy to live here in comparison to Egypt. Egypt, you need to know a bit of the language, but here you can get by very easily only on English.
You've been teaching for 10 years. Did you get your undergrad in teaching?
I did my degree in tourism in Ireland, and then I did a TEFL certificate in Egypt. It was a 4-week residential course at the time.
What made you decide to go into teaching?
Well, I remember at the time, because I did tourism, I always wanted to travel, and then teaching English kind of fit in perfectly with what I wanted to do and see the world.
Oh, okay. Did you go through a recruiter?
Yes, I did. I came with teaching English in Korea.
Oh, no way!
Well, I found them very, very good because I looked at other recruiters before that, and then I was very unsure about the job offers, and then I noticed a big difference in the job offers that I got with this company as opposed to the other companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were they like the salary difference or like
yes,
what was
the salary difference, everything. So I was reading on the internet, like there's a lot of shady schools, and I found that this was a very good safety net. So I went through 2 recruiters before, and the job interviews, I don't know, I just felt very iffy about them. But with the 2 job interviews I got for this company, I felt that, I could see the difference even in the people I was speaking to for the interview.
Oh.
They seemed to really care about the teaching,
Oh, wow.
So I'm Janessa. I am currently 24 years old, and I'm originally from Canada.
You're from Canada?
Yeah, I'm Canadian.
Why did we never go over this? We're in Canada.
Are you Canadian?
Yeah, I'm Canadian.
I'm from Manitoba.
Oh no, I'm from Alberta. Oh my god.
Ooh, we don't like each other.
Did you also have to fly to Vancouver or Toronto to get your visa done?
For the visa, no. I had to mail all of my stuff in to Toronto.
Bro, I had to fly to Vancouver 2 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yo, I mailed all of my stuff in.
Bro,
I'm in Korea.
Did you
Yeah.
mail your passport over?
I mailed my passport over. I got the tracking and everything.
That's what I was like, I couldn't do that. I was just like, no way could I mail my passport over. So I just rather would have flown. So I flown.
No, that's fair. I also had previously applied for a visa, and I'd mailed my passport in, and it was fine. So I was like, I trust it.
Why did you choose South Korea out of all the possible Asian countries?
Money. No, well, any kind of research, even just informal research, it's always the highest ranked country to go to. Not even just as far as Asian countries, but just being a TEFL teacher. They're like, South Korea, South Korea, South Korea. On paper, they'll take care of you. They'll pay for your flight and set up accommodation and blah, blah, blah. So it just seemed like the safest option.
Being a teacher, or why did you get into teaching?
No, it kind of, so I was an English major when I did my undergrad, and everyone was like, oh, you're going to be a teacher, obviously. And I'm like, no, I don't want to teach. I hate the concept. But I said it so aggressively without having experience that I'm like, okay, I should at least try it before I actually say no. So after I graduated, I moved to Spain, and I worked as a language assistant, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So then I got my TEFL, and now I'm here working as a teacher. And
cool. Did you go through multiple interviews before you found the one?
I did.
Oh, really? How many?
Well, it was interesting because I was like, I think this is pretty standard to interview around and da da da. But by the 5th interview, they're like, you've interviewed for 5 places,
bro. Yeah.
And I'm like, am I not supposed to? And he said, why didn't you accept the first one? And I was like, I don't know. So I interviewed for 5 or 6 different places.
Whoa.
And by the 5th or 6th, they're like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you taking a place? And I'm like, I don't know.
You just, have more options.
Yeah. And
that makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't, but apparently it's abnormal. Normally,
it is abnormal,
the first one they interview with, they'll give you the contract and done deal.
Yeah.
I was searching for the dough. I can't even lie.
Could you have negotiated between?
Well, here's the thing. So the one I ended up picking, I picked it because I could negotiate. So a lot of the other ones were they were doing a pretty base pay standard first year teaching whatever. But the last person I interviewed for, they really saw the Spain experience, and they're like, oh, we see that you have this experience, so we would be willing to. I was like, well, in that case, I do have this experience. I am am a good teacher. I was lying through my teeth. That was totally false. And he's like, well, in that case, like, I'll actually offer you this much. And I said, okay. And I signed with him like the next day.
Always lie on your interview. No, I'm just kidding. Don't
I
do
did
that.
lie. I wouldn't recommend it, but I did.
Oh, 8, 8, 6, 6, 5, 5, 1, 5.
One thing I want to say, I get choked up whenever I say it, and this may be a bit soppy to some of you, but you don't understand the impact that you have on kids' lives. And this is a funny story. It's true. I was on the subway going from Bucheon to Seoul, and this beautiful young girl goes, "Mr. B," and I was like, "No shit." And then I realized she was one of the middle school girls that I taught like 6 years earlier, and she said to me, "Mr. B, the reason I studied English literature at university," she was a first-year English literature major, and she said it was because of you, because I wanted to talk to other foreigners, I wanted to be able to speak to other foreigners, and it was because I loved her class. And I literally teared up, and I was like, you don't realize the impact that you have on kids' lives. You don't get that catharsis moment every time you teach, right? But at the same time, all of you should realize that you do impact these kids' lives. And so every day that you think about, like, shit, my job is hard. No shit, your job is hard. You're an English teacher, right? And I know. I was an English teacher for 7 years before I became a university professor, right? And I did the exact same thing that you do. So I give props to you. There's a lot of work that's involved. There's a lot of shit that you have to do. And I'm sorry, you can delete that part. But I've had those moments where I realized that I did really impact these kids' lives. And so I just want to say thank you from my heart. Thank you for doing your job well, for trying hard. It's okay. And also, I just want to say again, thank you guys very much for coming tonight. I really appreciate that.